Hey, it's Kim from Expressions of the Universe with your weekly wisdom for April 11th through the 17th of 2021. We have a new moon on deck in Aries, and I have cards for every sign, the astrology, the goddess of the week, and my crystals of the week. So let's get started. Before I get into all of the astrology, let's do the goddess. She is Bronwyn. This is who I picked a little bit earlier in the week, and I sat with her for a while. I always have to. I have to let her percolate in my system and kind of feel how she would be perfect for the week. Now, on the card, it says she is about forgiveness. And so I did a little research on her and found out she was one of the three high Celtic goddesses, Rhiannon, Bronwyn, and Cerridwen, who we previously had. They were known as like the maiden, mother, and crone in Welsh or Celtic history. Now, where she comes up with forgiveness and why it's so perfect for our week is because we're doing a big look on ourselves. There's so much energy in Aries that is the I am energy, the beginning of the Zodiac year. And it's not I'm sorry. I lost my mind for a second. This new moon in Aries on April 11th there's so much energy in this new moon with so many planets also in Aries, but Chiron is in Aries, making some really interesting aspects to Saturn and some other planets. So to me, it speaks about healing, the need to heal some things, which usually tends to be about forgiveness to others, and also forgiveness of ourselves. And I'll read a little bit about that. But she died from a broken heart, Bronwyn. She died because her beloved brothers, her husband, her son were all killed battling each other due to her unfair treatment that she was getting of her husband after the birth of her son. And her brothers came to her aid. Now, her name, Bronwyn, and this is a beautiful card. The name Bron is the Celtic or Gaelic word for raven. And so Bronwyn speaks of white raven. And if any of you, follow animal totems like I do, and I'm having a really hard time speaking today, getting my words out, white animals are really spiritual. They're very mystic, the raven itself. So she is considered, very magical, especially if you come across a white raven, which is so super rare. But then you're blessed with Bronwyn. Now, Colette Baron Reed, in her Goddess book, she speaks about forgiveness to ourselves, forgiveness to others. But if you allow me to read a quick excerpt, her alignment message says, sometimes we unintentionally cause hurt or pain to others. Sometimes our motive really is to hurt. So, when somebody hurts us horribly, our first reaction sometimes is to hurt them back. That's what they're speaking about here, I think. Now is the time for self-inventory and making amends. Our alignment task is to be 100% accountable for our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, motives, and actions. And then it says, you are not doing this, however, to experience forgiveness from someone else or even from yourself. It's to have the strength and fortitude to be accountable and take responsibility for your actions. All right. So with everything being in Aries, with this new moon, the sun and Chiron, and let's see, Mercury is also in Aries. So, you know, the sharp words, and Venus is in Aries, just for a short little while more time. But so we have a lot of that fiery energy going on. It's new beginnings. It's the beginnings of a new cycle. And we could be feeling really overwhelmed right now with all of the energy. So that's why I think part of this is really good as well. Sometimes life invites us into conditions that challenge us to the core. As the Celtic goddess Bronwyn forgave those who caused her own death by a broken heart, she asks you to set yourself free from the seeds of resentment that will surely choke the life out of your dreams. This is the first new moon after the equinox. It is the beginning of a new cycle. So it's the first true time in this 1 year cycle that we are making our first intentions. We're making our first new moon wishes. We need to take this time leading up to the new moon on the 11th. And depending on where you are, it could fall on the 12th because it is at 10:31 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, you know, depending on where you are in the world, you could get it a little before and obviously after. Some people will be experiencing it on the 12th. But I'm doing this early so that we have time to clear out all of these different things. And then this way, our intentions are clear, they're pure. We're not going into this 1 year cycle with any resentments. And what I really love about this story as well speaks about when we have a grievance with someone or a resentment because we've been hurt or we think we've been hurt. We make up stories as to how things played out, as to why we feel the way we feel, and they are our own stories. It may be the truth in our eyes, but it may not be factual. And the more we cling on to these stories, the more the story that we're telling takes on its own reality. And it really seeps down into our cells, into our soul. And the one thing that I got out of what I was researching was, and I try and remind myself of this all the time, the way we feel about something that happened to us it's all on us. And we have to be accountable for the way we're feeling. That other person doesn't make us feel that way. We're the ones that are creating that feeling through our thoughts. So it's really time for us to take inventory before we're setting these intentions and making the new moon wishes. And that's what I have to say about that. I'm going to do the crystals, then I'm going to do the cards for each sign, and then I'll get into what I'm seeing in the astrology and talk about the upcoming week, because I don't want to make you wait for the cards. All right, so new moon, of course, I'm going to do Moonstone, obviously, and this is just a typical Moonstone. I was looking for my rainbow Moonstone. I found some black Moonstone. I don't want that one. So just, you know, some regular Moonstone. Aries season. So I felt like carnelian was really good for the Aries season. It's fire, it's action, it gets us going. You know, I've talked about that if you're trying to get out of a slump, you're trying to lose some weight, carnelian is really great for that. But with all this fire energy, you may not want to use carnelian because it depends on how well you're balancing all the energies out that are going on. So to counterbalance the feeling of overwhelm, the feeling of too much energy, maybe I'm not sleeping well, you know, I always default to blue lace agate. This is a semi-raw piece. It's smooth on one side and still rough on the other, but blue lace agate is perfect because, you know, it's such a great throat chakra stone, but it, you know, the throat, our ears are connected to that. It could also be a mild third eye stone, but when it's sitting right here at the throat, it's in between our third eye and our heart. So the thoughts or visions and our heart chakra, with Mercury and Venus being in Aries, this would be a perfect soothing stone to help us soothe our hearts, soothe our thoughts, throat chakra, soothe our words. I know that I could have a very fiery temper. Which just reminded me, I'm going to have to tell you some shocking news that I received on April Fool's Day about my own birth chart. Anyway, so this really helps to balance and bring in some more soothing energy. As a protective stone, I think for this time, I have two different pieces, and I gave one of my friends one of these. This is some beautiful tiger eye, shaped like a heart. I think it's so cute. Looks like a candy, almost good enough to eat. This is great for psychic protection, for protecting your aura. This is also really good for getting clear and clarity. And then last but not least, I saw this as I was walking out of my room. This is blue gold stone. And hopefully you'll be able to see how glittery gold it is inside. But, you know, anything blue, I love. And, oh my gosh, the glitter in this. But I figured with the sun coming back into the northern hemisphere, it makes me think, you know, about the, those golden rays, the golden tones. The sunrises have been so beautifully golden, and we are setting intentions. Look how this shines. We're setting intentions and we're making wishes. So we want them to turn into gold. That's why I got the gold stone. And I just thought that this was great. This is just going to be my personal favorite. Wanted to show it to you for today. Now, I'm going to pull cards for every sun sign, rising sign, moon sign. So you'll want to pay attention to each of those. I'm using Colette Baron Reed's Wisdom of the Avalon deck. Haven't used that for a while. Interesting, because I got this deck. I was looking at the book to see the copyright, 2007. So I've had this deck for about 14 years, and it used to be one of my go-tos back in the day. But as I have collected over the years, I had to dig this out of storage. So what I want to do, I'll interpret the meaning that I'm picking up for each sign and cut these, and maybe I'll use the book a little bit. Let's see. All right, starting with the Aries. This is your new moon. The sun will be in Aries and the moon will be in Aries at 22 degrees, which is like, oh my gosh, it's rebellion time. It's the time of the rebel and figuring out where it is that we belong in this world. Yeah, Aries suns, risings, and moons. Fantastic. It's the butterfly. That's all about transformation. And if anybody knows, the transformation of a butterfly from caterpillar to butterfly is not pleasant. It is often painful, but then what emerges is something that's so wonderful. And this just says beauty. It speaks about beauty. And I think it's also about seeing what's beautiful in yourself and healing those parts of yourself that you may not be loving, but that's all part of that Chiron and Aries healing. And I just think that this is wonderful because this does symbolize a transformative time for the Aries suns, risings, and moons. Taurus, which I'll be paying attention to now. So my shocker was I got my birth certificate with the official time, and it was 3 hours earlier than my mother's been telling me my entire life. So I'm no longer a Cancer rising. I am a Taurus rising. More on that later. And I have to do a shout out to Naomi Simpson from Naomi Simpson Astrology, who took it upon herself to look at my new chart because I was like, who is this person? I don't even know who I am anymore. And she set me straight. And all of my friends that understand astrology that I told that I am now a Taurus rising, everybody laughed and said that it totally makes sense. So I will be embracing the little bull in me. So interesting. Oh, okay. So disruption for the Taurus suns, risings, and moons. Well, and also I want to point out that my friend said that I am a little harsh on the Tauruses. And so will I still be now that I know that I'm a Taurus rising? Yes, of course, because we are stubborn and we are a little bullheaded sometimes, but we know what we like and we like what we like and we stick by it, right? So disruption. Now that kind of makes sense because, you know, Uranus, the planet of change and disruption, is in Taurus for at least the next 5 years. So things are changing. Things are, you know, moving out. This disruption that I am seeing, this is a marker in history. It's symbolized by a lightning bolt. So disruption could mean that this is a time where we get some surprising news. Let's see what the book says. Just a lot of times there needs to be an upheaval of things in order to make those big changes. And there go my glasses. Okay. Disruption. Let's see, what does this say? I haven't explored these cards in a very long time. It says this marker warns of a shaky foundation placed on a fault line. At best, this reminds you that shakeups are necessary when you need a wake-up call. It's a warning for you to be diligent and alert when making decisions. And I have to say that this new moon alignment I had written in my notes was about making decisions, and they were big decisions that could also be either very frightening or painful for all of us, for the collective. This can also portend a toppling of plans or ideas or a total destruction of something hard won, worked for, or desired. Be reminded that the way of the goddess is one of mystery and chaos is the ultimate cleanser. Disruption brings delays and upsets that have a hidden gift of opportunity within them. This is a time to rethink, rebuild, and refortify that which was previously unstable, or it allows you to begin anew. So see, this is not horrible. This is not a horrible card. And I'll leave it at that. So that was for Taurus, suns, risings, and moons. Oh, interesting. So Gemini, so I am a Gemini sun. This is about protection. So maybe this is why I thought that this tiger eye would be a really good stone, because I was picking up protection. This would be protection of the aura, protection of your home, protection of the things of yourself even, really putting up some of those psychic and spiritual protections. This is a great time on an Aries new moon to clean house top to bottom, and you could do some really good saging. I know, with the activity that I have here, I've been working on some areas within my house, but I really just need to do a good top to bottom cleaning, which I'll be doing when I take some time off. So putting up that protection, refortifying your doors, your windows, with some salt. Get out the sage, the Palo Santo, cedar wood, lavender. Salt always works. You sprinkle it right in the tracks of your doors or windowsills, and that protects spiritually. Yes. So let's move on to Cancer, which I am no longer a Cancer rising, and the hawk comes up. This is about seeing the bigger picture, taking things in from a 30,000 view up, and just observing, not really making any interaction or judgment per se. You're just soaking things in at this time. And this talks about omens and messages. So definitely paying attention to any of that is coming through. Superstitious omens is what I'm hearing. And, messages, the typical usual numbers, repetitive numbers that you're seeing, songs that come on the radio, either the name of the song, the name of the group, the lyrics, messages within there. Also overhearing people in their conversations may have a message in it for you. Pay attention to animal totems, birds, different little things that pop up along the way, because they all have messages. For all of us, new people are coming into our lives at this time, and it's so super important because there are a lot of fated entries coming in right now. And so pay attention to people that are new coming into your lives, because they have important meaning. And if what I'm hearing, if you're single, you're looking for romance, somebody may not show up the way you're expecting them to. I'm going to have to remember that. And they turn out to be somebody really wonderful and great. Leo, suns, risings, and moons. I am still a Leo moon, just 2 degrees different. Oh, I'm really not getting good cards. It's Goblin. But this is kind of perfect. So the goblins come in to remind us of negative thinking, negative words, arguments, and fights. Leo being a fire sign, sister fire sign to Aries. And I believe this Aries new moon, the sun will be in the 5th house, which is what is ruled by Leo. So big play on the Leo. That new moon would be trining. The new moon and the sun would be trining your sun rising or moon in Leo. This says the wounded human ego. Okay. That's really a lot of the Aries energy, especially the Chiron Aries energy. And I just want to remind the Leo suns, risings, and moons, or anybody else that maybe this even resonates with. when we are living in that wounded human ego, or we are in that lower negative vibration, you know, thinking negative things, speaking negative things, we're feeding the goblin that's within ourselves. And so this is just coming up to remind us to like get our ish together and stop it. Okay. Think about Bronwyn and the goddess of forgiveness. All right, Virgo, you are getting the novice. So something new is beginning for the Virgos. And this says innocence, the beginner, ignorance, new skills without practice, unstable curiosity. So we could take this in a lot of different directions, but I'm just going to portend it to new beginnings. Something brand new is coming your way. And, you know, it's okay to not know everything. Now, if this is about ignorance, you want to make sure that you're well informed. If you are feeling any kind of stubbornness towards something that somebody has said or done, maybe do a little research on your own so that you can understand the person better. Ignorance is really just not knowing. So research, which is perfect for Virgos, this could be a good time for you for that. But yeah, I love that this is just like about new beginnings, opening up, new opportunities I'm hearing. Okay, Libra, suns, risings, and moons. Movement is coming in. So this is another marker. Movement is wonderful because if you have been feeling stagnant, this Aries sun and Aries new moon is really going to put some fire under your butts and get you moving, making you feel motivated. Once again, if you've been putting things off and procrastinating, which I know a lot of Libras tend to do. I'm just thinking of one Libra in particular. This is going to be perfect for you. You'll start to feel that energy building up in you once again after Sunday. Once the aspect is over, that's when we'll really start to feel it, and it should carry you through the summer. So I think this is really great for the Libras. I was kind of hoping that maybe Scorpios could get that energy because I know that they've been in like a stuck holding pattern. And a Scorpio that I know asked me the other day, like, when is this black cloud going to leave me? And I think with Uranus being in your opposing sign of Taurus, you know, there's that challenge that's going to be with Scorpios, changing things up, moving things, creating unexpected changes for at least the next 5 years. So Scorpio, suns, risings, and moons. Oh, it's the Wasp. And the Wasp says sometimes life stings. And it's interesting. So if you think about it, before I gotta, what this says, anger, retaliation, and jealousy. So Bronwyn is the perfect goddess card. But this Wasp is not too far different than the Scorpion with the stinger in the tail and, you know, the retaliation. So this Aries energy could put you in these positions of anger, retaliation, and jealousy. I definitely want you guys to get some blue lace agate or aquamarine, something to really soothe that watery temper in you, because this could be a little bit of a volatile time for the Scorpio suns, risings, and moons. I'm just hearing triggers. Things could trigger you with so much fire energy going on right now. The triggers are going to be there. And my nose won't stop itching. I'm sorry. I feel like I have a hair or something there. What else of the Wasp? Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that, but I'm sorry. I just know that you're in this growth period. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. So Scorpio, not only are they represented by the scorpion, they're also represented by the eagle and the phoenix. So there's like three different stages of a Scorpio and their life and their growth. So you start out as the scorpion, which would be very much like the wasp, but then as you ascend, you move into that eagle. And then after you've been through hell and you come out of the ashes, you are the rising phoenix. So any of those symbols could be you. And even if you are the phoenix, which is that fiery energy, and these things could maybe not affect you. I think no matter how high anyone ascends, we do have the ability to be triggered and takes us right back into that primal energy that we were born into before we started doing our work and growing and moving up through ascension. There's always shadow work to be done. It like never ends, because even when we think that we've taken a look at our shadow and we've done all that work to clear it out, we're all, in order for us to be balanced, we have to be light and shadow. So we're constantly looking at those different components of ourselves. And that's all. Just trying to turn this into a more positive message. All right, Sagittarian suns, risings, and moons. Okay, you also have a marker, and it's restrictions. So Sagittarius, another sister sign of the Aries sun and new moon. The restrictions would be coming now, because I didn't do the astrology yet. It's not making sense to you, but I'll throw that in towards the end. I'll pull up the chart. I think that the restrictions are because of the North Node has so much power in Gemini, and it is opposing Sagittarius. We're making a beautiful aspect with the North Node and Mars. And this is new beginnings, fated destinies. Things are really starting to move forward in our own personal stories. And I feel as though that could make a Sagittarian, because that's where the South Node is, feel a little restricted or choked. This is also saying to me, it's talking about discipline, and it's this path, this road in the picture is just saying, like, you just have to keep on your path for the time being. So you're restricted to stay middle of the road, not veering too far left or right, and living within this confinement for just a little bit longer before at the end of the road, I bet you it opens up wide and everything gets moving and grooving and everything will be good. All right. Yeah, what did I write down any notes about the North Node? I mean, I was watching how the aspect, I think it's Aries. Oh, so it's squaring, I think. The new moon, no, it can't be. Maybe it's trining. I can't think straight. Aries. So it would be Aries, Taurus, Gemini. So it should be squaring, which is, putting up some resistance. I know this energy, though, is very much a 2-step forward, 1 step back. It's very much a push and pull energy. We are making decisions. We're having to make some pretty big choices. And so Capricorn, you're next. All right. The Lady of the Lake is your card. And this talks about absolute truth, courage, self-respect, and responsibility. And it is card number 8, which is about decisions. So what I'm hearing from this lady of the lake is, like, what is your absolute truth? And what are you taking responsibility for? And self-respect. It's like, are you going to allow people to push you in that direction? I kind of want to just see real quick what Colette has to say about this lady of the lake. The Lady of the Lake represents the highest order of respect for yourself and the manner in which you operate within the world around you. She is the harsher element of truth, where denial is swept away by a tidal wave of events. In the ancient legend of Avalon, the Lady of the Lake presented Merlin with the Sword of Truth, which had been claimed by Arthur, who became High King of Britain. The magic that wielded this metal was fired by the will of the goddess. Consequently, when the Lady of the Lake appears, she demands nothing short of total truth and integrity. And she asks you to be mindful of all the signs, signals, and omens that present themselves to you. So I think that's pretty fantastic. It's pretty ominous. I love that. Aquarius. You have the water fairy, Aquarius, suns, risings, and moons. And she is talking about feelings and emotions, which is pretty interesting. Well, we do have Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. Mostly everything has already moved out. And now everything's starting to bunch up and conjunct in Aries. It went through Pisces. Now everything is in Aries. I think that's going to be the theme, that, we just keep having these big stelliums in each sign each month until the retrogrades come. But this is talking about a time of deep feeling, deep emotions, really tapping into your feelings and emotions. Aquarius suns, risings, and moons often disconnect from their emotions because it's easier to deal with situations when you're not involving the emotions and those feelings. When a job needs to get done, it's easier to cut those feelings off and just get the job done. So many people in my life are Aquarians, from family to friends to foes, and just seeing how they operate. I was married to an Aquarian. I gave birth to an Aquarian. I was raised by Aquarians. So I know Aquarius energy very well. And they're not mushy like me. So this is just asking, really take this time on this new moon to really allow yourself to release these emotions, release these feelings, tap into them. Allow yourself that mushy time, okay? Try and see your other side of yourself. And I'm not saying like that Aquarians aren't compassionate and kind, because they are. Aquarians are humanitarians by nature. But just get a little deeper with yourselves. That's what I'm feeling on this new moon. And then last but not least, the mushy sign. So if Aquarians, you have any Pisces friends, get with them. They probably annoy you even though you love them. But Pisces, suns, risings, and moons, this is great. It's the spider. And this is talking about creation, new beginnings. It also talks about our thoughts and our words and our actions and how they weave our reality, and they create what shows up in front of us. So we have to be very mindful at the same time. But I think that spider is always an ominous blessing whenever I see it, because it means something, some creation is getting ready to blossom, something new is getting ready to come into my life. And this says creative projects. And so the spider is also reminding us that now is the time to, you know, allow your creative juices to flow and allow yourself to play as well. Okay, so those were the cards. I hope you liked them. Now, time for a little astrology. So I'm going to bring up the chart, and then we'll just talk for a couple of minutes on the astrology. Let's see. Okay, wrong chart. I have the chart right here. Okay, I will share my screen. There we go. All right, so this is the chart at the exact time of the new moon in Aries. You'll see that it's 22 degrees, 24 seconds, both the moon and the sun. It's in the 5th house, which is ruled by Leo, and it is about playing, being creative. It's about romance. It's about being childlike, finding our inner child. It's such a great placement for it to be in. You can also take a look real quick, whatever your sun sign is, go around the wheel. So Taurus, you're in the 6th house, Gemini, 7th house, Cancer, 8, Leo, 9, and so forth, Virgo, 10, Libra, 11. So what your themes will be working on, if I go around, Sagittarius, it is about the self, and there's that south node. Capricorn, it is about what you value, your self-worth, actually, and that couldn't align better with the cards. You can't even make this up. And Aquarius, this is about communications. Here is Saturn and Jupiter, and Pallas is actually in right at the beginning of Pisces. And I left my Pallas materials somewhere and couldn't work on the video, and also I know that I owe a couple people some charts. I'm getting to all of those. I've just been very, very backed up. Pisces, you're about the 4th house, roots, your family. Aries, 5th house, we talked about. Taurus, about service work and your pets. Gemini, it's all about your relationships. Cancer, death endings and taxes, the underworld, getting dark, really doing some research possibly. Leo, expansion of the mind, possibly travel. Expanding your beliefs. Virgo, looks like you're going to work, girl. Career and status change. Libra, it's about your friends, the people in your social life. And Scorpio, we're diving into some past life karma that you're clearing up. Also, maybe Scorpios are going to go into some meditation and, you know, seclude themselves for a little while. Some of you, I think, will be doing that. But this is really tapping into like a higher ascension for yourselves as well. But you can see, I talked about Chiron, the wounded healer. It is in Aries, which is about the self right now. And it is, I can't even think of what the aspect is. It's making it an aspect to to Saturn, and anyway, I can't, my mind is drawing a blank, but anyway, I feel as though Saturn and Chiron is going to have us having to make some choices. Jupiter will be expanding our mind and our truth and our purpose in this world. Pluto is going to play a huge part this coming week. Pluto is squaring the moon. It's also going to be squaring Venus, I believe. So as I'm recording this, the moon is squaring Mars. Emotion versus, you know, like that need, that ego in Gemini. Shocking news. Shocking news that came out today was the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, passed away today. And it's no surprise. He was not well. He was 99 years old. But this really goes back to when all of that energy was in Capricorn and it was shifting into Aquarius. There was going to be some change in the monarchies and in the regimes in the world. What else do we have? So the things I want to pay attention to really is Venus squaring Pluto. That's the push and the pull that I'm feeling. Then the moon starts to square everything. Moon squaring Pluto, moon squaring Saturn, moon squaring Jupiter. Then the moon moon squaring Neptune as well. Let's see what else. Sun squaring Pluto. And then the 17th, we have a lot of activity on the 17th. I'll have to get into that for next week. A lot of craziness on the 17th. But we can just see how these planets are speaking to each other by the aspects. I feel as though this new moon is asking, this is where the restrictions for Sagittarius are coming in. You know, Mercury is having a conversation with the South Node and saying, all right, guess what? We have to have a serious conversation because we have a new cycle beginning and you are of the old. I just feel as though it's like the conversations with this South Node, okay, the trine here between Mercury and the South Node, it's like a lot of us are going to be living in the past, thinking in the past. The conversations, it's like bringing up old crap that it's like we're so over it. And I think that's part of what Bronwyn is trying to say to us. It's like we just need to move on and forgive these things from the past. Even this could also be reminiscing the past. So it's not horrible. It's not all horrible. I think it could be beautiful. Mercury is also having some really nice conversations with Mars. It's like the verbal lash off. Mars is in Gemini. It's interesting. So Mars is in Gemini, which is the typical sign of Mercury, and Mercury's down here in Aries, which is the typical sign of Mars. They've switched places. It's like one of those house swap things, you know, where two people swap houses in different locations so that they can vacation. Have you ever seen, I think it's called The Holiday, with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet, and Kate Winslet swaps her English cottage with Cameron Diaz in her Los Angeles McMansion, and they swap, and it's really a very kind of beautiful story, but that's what this energy is very much like. Let's see, what else do we have going on? We have Venus. Yeah, Venus is squaring Pluto. So Venus is in Aries, so it's kind of fiery energy. And I feel as though she is having a conversation with Pluto about the old ways and how can we change some things. She's asking Pluto, like, come on, hurry it up, clean up what you've got to, and get in here, start joining the party. But he isn't finished. He is still wrapping up some endings over the next 2 years. He's very slow moving. He will be going retrograde, although he doesn't barely even move half a degree in his retrograde, so insignificant. But this could be a tug at our heartstrings. Like there's losses definitely on the horizon. We lost the Duke of Edinburgh today as I'm recording this. That is a very emotional time for many, many people, and my heart goes out to the royal family. So yeah, I think that has some things to do with it. And like I said, the moon will be squaring Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter, and then Neptune, hitting all of those outer planets. And he's got to be squaring Chiron at some point as well. I'm wondering if that even shows up on here. I know I saw an aspect to Chiron on this upcoming chart, but I don't know where it is. Chiron sextile Jupiter a week from now. That could be good. By a week from now, we could be feeling a lot better about ourselves and how things are going. Yeah, I'm not seeing that aspect per se, but I figured that it would maybe be coming up, but I guess not. I don't know. So yes, this is the chart. Now, the other interesting chart that I have, and I just want to point out, I think it's this one. Yeah. So you know what? Thinking about the pandemic, we're 1 year into this pandemic, and I don't know if I'm going through depression or is it pandemic fatigue? I don't know, but I've really been in quite the funk for some time, and it's been rough. I'm not sad, like I'm not crying or anything, but I just really have no motivation. I'm not finding the joy in things. I do feel so much better today. I think Naomi's reading that she sent to me about my new chart really pulled me out of my funk. But I took a look at the Spanish flu pandemic that happened 100 years ago, and I found some interesting clues. So this was around the time, it's 102 years ago today, and they were starting to come out of the pandemic. Not fully out of it around the entire globe, kind of like where we are now. There were still some waves, like a fourth wave, third wave, and surges in certain parts of the world. What I found interesting is, the south node was in Gemini and the north node was in Sagittarius, which is the opposite of what it is now. Yes, the sun obviously was in Aries, but Chiron was in Aries 102 years ago. So people of that time were also soul searching within themselves, and trying to heal the ego and the wounds. They were coming out of a war. They were in the middle of World War I. I know my grandfather, he was over in World War I. When he came home, he married my grandmother in 1921. And interesting, because my daughter's getting married in 2 weeks, so 100 years later. But so yeah, I made that correlation that we were pointing towards Sagittarius as our truth and philosophy, and our south node, the things that we were forgetting, was about all that the communication, and also it was retrograde during that time. The other thing I wanted to point out, so right now, you know, Pluto has been in Capricorn for quite some time, but back then it was in Cancer, its opposite sign. And if you've been watching me for a while, since 2017, I was talking about Pluto in Capricorn now and how it was opposing the sun in Cancer, and all these other planets when we had stelliums there and eclipses in Cancer. And I kept saying, you know, we're moving away from that I can't say the word, the corporate world, and we're coming into a more home-based world. What was interesting is they were moving out of the home and into a more corporate world. Not at this time, but once the sun and other planets came into Capricorn. So we see a lot of opposites. The one thing I just think is interesting that's the same is Chiron is in Aries once again. What else? I think that was it. I think that's all. Yeah. And then just how these have flipped from, you know, North Node in Gemini now to South Node in Gemini. So, and now we're looking at a new vision, new ideas. I'm going to stop sharing. And that's what I see is we are looking for new ideas. Before, they were looking for a new philosophy, a new belief, something new to believe in. Whereas we're already pretty set in our beliefs and our philosophies. Now we need some new innovation, new ideas, maybe new technology and new ways to communicate as well. And no, I'm not just saying like communicate technology wise, although who knows, like I could be a hologram sitting on your kitchen table, you know, where we could interact before you know it. But just actually having conversations again, you know, I think that we're so attached to social media that we're not actually having like those one-on-one conversations. And I miss that. I miss phone calls. Like I have a couple friends who, you know, we speak religiously once a week on the phone, but it's only with like 2 or 3 different people. Like everybody else is text messages or you talk to people through social media. Kind of want to get back to some real conversations. Anyway, I've entertained you far long enough, and I hope this holds you well, because I may not be back until the full moon, which is on April 26th. It will be a full moon in Scorpio. So hopefully we will get some movement for the Scorpios at that time. My daughter, she's getting married. And so, you know, I've got to put my focus and my attention on my family. I have a lot of family coming in, and I'm hoping to spend some time with people that I haven't seen for a while and just really enjoy and celebrate this time without having to worry about all of this. And I'm even taking off 2 weeks from my day job as well. I'll try and post. I'm going to set up posts for Facebook and Instagram so that, you know, you have something. And if there's anything big news happening or whatever, I'll be in. But be patient with me, and I will see you soon enough. Have a great new moon. New moon blessings to all of you. Set your wishes and intentions for this 1-year cycle. It's new beginnings. I will see you soon.